But the Southern Poverty Law Center says that the most common minority target is gay people. There are ways to help and reach out to all victims of hate crimes. But first, I got to show you these numbers. They're stunning, plain and simple. An analysis of 14 years of FBI stats found that gay people, or those who are thought to be gay, are twice as likely to be attacked in a violent hate crime than African Americans or Jewish people. And listen to this, they're 4 times more likely to be attacked than Muslims and 14 times as likely as Latinos. An entire community of people banding together to show support for the gay community and the victims of gay bullying. It's part of Dan Savage's It Gets Better project. The author and columnist joining us live via Skype from Seattle. You know, Dan, when you saw this report from the Southern Poverty Law Center, what were your first thoughts? We were just astounded by these numbers.
It is shocking. Unfortunately, I wasn't as surprised as some people might be. There's a tremendous amount of violence directed at members of the LGBT community by people who feel they have license to bully or really commit acts of violence against gays and lesbians because of the rhetoric that sloshes around in our culture, promoted by haters flying under the radar of supposedly the Christian right. They promote the idea that gays and lesbians are a threat to the family, a threat to the institution of marriage. They've even claimed, U.S. senators have claimed, that gays and lesbians are a bigger threat to the survival of the planet than climate change. And when you have that kind of hateful, apocalyptic, demagogic rhetoric, some people will act on it, feel they have license to abuse physically, emotionally, the gay and lesbian, bi and trans people that they encounter.
But Dan, here's what I have a hard time understanding with numbers like this. We've come so far, our society has. And it's hard to understand why we are being so progressive that these numbers are so high.
Well, it really is, for gays and lesbians, kind of a best of times, worst of times moment culturally for us. We've never been freer, more open, our rights protected in more and more places. And yet, at the same time that we've made a tremendous progress, there's been a tremendous amount of backlash. And the backlash is exacting a price in the lives of gays and lesbians who are being abused or targeted for violence.
What are, I mean, it's, you know, it's difficult to say what would be a solution, but could we start with more hate crime legislation?
We can start with that. We can also start really, we need a cultural reckoning around gay and lesbian issues. There was once 2 sides to the race debate. There was once a side, you could go on television and argue for segregation, you could argue against interracial marriage, against the Civil Rights Act, against extending voting rights to African Americans. And that used to be treated as one side of a one legitimate side of a pressing national debate. And it isn't anymore. And we really need to reach that point with gay and lesbian issues. There are no 2 sides to the issues about gay and lesbian rights. And right now, one side are really using dehumanizing rhetoric. The Southern Poverty Law Center labels these groups as hate groups, and yet the leaders of these groups, people like Tony Perkins, are welcomed onto networks like CNN to espouse hate directed at gays and lesbians, and similarly hateful people who are targeting Jews or people of color or anyone else would not be welcome to spew their bile on networks like CNN. And that really, we really have to start there. We have to start with that kind of cultural reckoning. There's a tremendous amount of violence directed at members of the LGBT community by people who feel they have license to bully or really commit acts of violence against gays and lesbians because of the rhetoric that sloshes around in our culture, promoted by haters flying under the radar of supposedly the Christian right.